You're not a spendthrift. You're not an overspender. You're practically just traumatized. Let's get into it. A lot of you tend to pretend and hide behind the idea that you love spending money, behind the idea that you are just happy when you spend your money, behind the idea that you just love buying things. But understand, you do not love buying things. You do not love spending money. You simply love to get money away from you because growing up, you were not trained to hold that money. Did I get that right for you? Criteria for this. If you know you grew up in a household where there was poverty, where there was scarcity, and where there was struggle, come to the front of the class. Come to the front of the class. If you know you grew up in a household where there was poverty, scarcity, and struggle, come to the front of the motherfucking class, because I am about to break you. Okay? When you grew up in these circumstances, you were constantly trained to believe that there was not enough money, there was not enough food, there was not enough love, there was not enough friendship, there was not enough space for you to be yourself. And what did that turn you into? It turned you into a human being with a void that needed filling. It turned you into a human being who constantly had to perform. Should I continue? I will not. You're crying. So what this does, so what the poverty, scarcity, and struggle did to you, first of all, it trained your nervous system to constantly be in fight or flight mode, okay? Let me change the chalk. So your nervous system, I talked about this in a previous video. I have a whole video on my YouTube channel about how to rewire your nervous system. Go watch it. Man, I'm dropping gems. Go watch it. Waiting. So it trained your nervous system to constantly operate on flight or flight mode. You know the other F. It turned your nervous system into a very open trigger. What I mean by this is you are constantly walking on eggshells. Back to the fight or flight mode, with regards to the fact that you constantly felt like there was not enough. So even when there was something, you felt like it was going to leave you. Does that sound familiar? What this poverty, scarcity, struggle did to you, it also damaged your psyche in the sense that you constantly operated from a place of not having. You became a not have. And what it also what it also did to you is it ruined your relationship with money. It ruined your relationship with money. Yeah? I'm gonna get into it. You're gonna get some. So what poverty, scarcity, struggle did to you, it wired your nervous system to operate in fight or flight mode. It made you walk on eggshells with regard to resources, availability of people, time, and love. And it turned you into a not have, meaning you constantly operated from the place of I do not have money, I do not have this, I do not have enough. And also it ruined your relationship with money. Let me go into a bit of context with the idea of money, because that is what we're going to address in this issue. Money is currency. Money is currency. Currency is a current. Current is water. Water flows. Yo. Are you seeing that tree? So this flows, and this money, it gets to show you that water flows. Water is not the paper in your wallet. Water is not the numbers in your water or money. Oh my God. Money is not the paper in your wallet. Money is not the numbers in your bank account. Money is flow of energy. It is the currency. And if you do not understand this, let me give you a bit of context. You have $100. And you buy a house. Let's say, not a house. Oh God, you can't buy a house. Let's say you buy a pair of jeans, okay? When you buy this pair of jeans, your bank balance might go back to $5. Your bank balance might go back to $5, but you have jeans. So all this money literally did, the other $95 simply transmuted state and went from a number in your bank account to a service through clothing. So that money never left your bank account. It simply transmuted materialistic state from a number in your bank account to a service in terms of a cloth that is actually giving you warmth. This is something that rich people understand, and that is why they are not afraid to spend money, because they understand money is not an object, it is a currency. And that is why rich people do not hoard money, but poor people constantly try to own money, and that is why they never have any money. Okay? So when you grow up in this poverty and scarcity and struggle, you find that as you become an adult, You cannot hold money. Your nervous system is anxious around money. The experiences you've had around money growing up are absolutely traumatic. When you would ask for things, when you would ask for money, when you would ask for resources, you are met with denial. Some of you were beaten up. Some of you were insulted and called ungrateful. And what this does, it trains your nervous system to believe that all these things you're asking for are bad. So you learn to tone down when it comes to resources. You learn to tone down when it comes to money. So when you become an adult and you get money, you find that you subconsciously constantly try to chase it away. Now, before you tell me, Tina, how am I chasing away money? I love money. Understand that what you love is not what your nervous system is looking for. I talked about this. What you love is not your nervous system's business. Your nervous system does not prioritize your happiness. It only prioritizes your survival. So if you grew up in poverty, scarcity, and struggle, and you constantly felt unsafe around money because conversations around money in your household led to conflict, it led to hurt, it led to disappointment, your nervous system learned to protect you from that money. Your mind learned to tap out when it came to money. So you find you turn into an adult. Yes, you're paid, but somehow you find yourself getting rid of this money. And how do you get rid of it? Through being a spendthrift. Through being a spendthrift and through impulse buying. And through impulse buying. You don't love spending, baby. You're just traumatized. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see how your history affects your present circumstances? That is why I keep telling you, the best books to read are the pages of your past, because they will help you understand your present and customize the experiences of your future. But if you do not work on focusing on your past, run away from your past, your present is going to be shit. And you're going to try to change it, but it will not change. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm going to give you a bit more context. You've been paid that money. Now you're wondering, Tina, what do you mean my nervous system cannot hold money? I feel good around money. I constantly get paid. I love money. Let me give you a bit more context. You've been paid 100K. That's your salary. You've been paid 100K. But for some reason, this is a theoretic situation. Whichever applies to you, let it apply to you. But for some reason, all of a sudden, you have this money. Before you, let me hold your hand when I say this. Before you had this money, you believed all your problems were going to be solved when you got the money. Until you got the money, then you realize your problems have not been solved. And for some reason, the money is no longer enough. It's because it's not that the money is not enough. You're operating off of scarcity. Back to your past. Poverty, scarcity, struggle. So you've been paid 100K. But all of a sudden, you have rent. All of a sudden, you have fees. All of a sudden, you have groceries to buy. All of a sudden, you have this new pair of shoes that you did not even know existed, but for some reason, you want to buy them because you saw them yesterday at the store. For some reason, you remember your wig has gotten old, and even as much as it has served you for the longest time, all of a sudden, you need. Keyword, spendthrifting and impulse buying is constantly backed by the word need, not want. Because if you say you want, you will realize you don't need it. But when you say you need it, you do not have to accept that you want it. Girl, I'm dropping bars tonight. Bars tonight. All of a sudden, you have a new wig that you need to buy. And to make things worse, all of a sudden, you just remember that there's this fancy place you saw on TikTok that everyone has been visiting, and for some reason, just for some reason, not a really big reason, but for some reason, you just want to go there. You just want to take your way to that place. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? So you find that you do have priorities. Rent is a priority. You can't sleep outside. Fees is a priority. Your children, you gotta go to school if you're going to school. Groceries is a priority. But after the line of priorities has been crossed, it is where the impulse buying begins. Because now all of a sudden you have all these crazy things that you did not need 20 minutes ago, but suddenly just make sense to you. Spendthrift impulse buying. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see where I'm going with this? Yeah? When the line of priority is crossed, all of a sudden you have all these crazy ass needs you did not even have 2 minutes ago, but for some reason they've become important. Now I'm going to highlight the phrases that we normally use to excuse impulse buying and spendthrifting, because trust me, I was a chronic impulse buyer. Trust me, I know what I'm telling you. I know what I'm saying. By the way, do you know this song though? I bet you start loving me soon as I start loving someone else, somebody better than you. That's a song to listen to. Because your ex is gonna love you when they realize you love somebody else. I didn't say sure. So phrases that excuse impulse buying. And these are like crutches. I call them crutch phrases. And can we just acknowledge the audio? Do you see? It's cool as fuck. Crutch phrases. I need it. I've been meaning to buy it. I'm not impulse buying, denial. It's important. Now, the reason I've highlighted these phrases for you, is because impulse buying and spendthrifting is a very unconscious thing. Most of the time we do it and we think that we do it because we like it. But for most of the part, we're actually doing it because we do not know how else to handle money. For us, money is either living or it's not there. Let me write it down. For us, for those people who grew up in those circumstances of poverty, struggle, and scarcity, money is either living or it's not there. What do I mean by this? If you look at these two statements, living meaning it's ever being spent, there's always going to be needs, or not there in the sense that it does not there. But do you see any statement echoing presence of money? Absolutely not. And do you see why you constantly want to chase it away? So before you impulse buy, you constantly tell yourself, I need it. I've been meaning to buy it. I'm not impulse buying. It's important. And what this does, it creates a buffer, like a sponge for your brain, to believe that you need this thing. So when you go buy it, you do not feel bad, because deep down you're used to feeling bad when you spend money. So when you give yourself an excuse to actually spend this money, even though the expenditure is not necessary, you find that you do not feel bad. Your brain is at ease. Your nervous system is calm because, I need this. But in this sense, you do not. You just need to get that money away from you, because when you look at it on your phone, it reminds you of the time that you did not have money, and you feel like it's either gonna leave or it's not gonna stay. And also, impulse buying is simply filling a void. So you find that because you grew up not having enough, now that you're an adult and you have money, you constantly want to buy things, believing that you can finally get all those moments in your life back when you were disappointed by not getting the things you wanted. So you constantly buy, you constantly spend to actually relieve yourself of the pain, to be in denial of the fact that you were denied the luxury to spend. When I speak to you, I'm speaking to me right now, trust me, okay? So now that we've understood that it's time that we go into the session, like say, okay, Tina, fine, I know I've been impulse buying, but what do I do? I got you, baby. I got you like you got me, standing on the edge and it's a melody. I wanna dance to the lights, take a stand. I'm a neurodivergent, I don't stick a bad. See, I like singing, so if you're here, you know. Let me know in the comments a song you'd like me to sing in our next video, because you know I will sing it. I can rap too. So solutions. First of all, it's about understanding that you're unconsciously chasing away money. Back to the concept of nervous system. If you are not trained to hold money because you grew up in scarcity, poverty, and struggle, you are not trained to hold money. Money came with conflict. Money came with stress. Money came with anxiety. Money came with discomfort. What you need to do is to create safety around money. What you need to do is to create safety around money. What I mean by this is you will not need to spend thrift. You will not need to live that. You will not need to have that money live your life, live your system, if you feel safe with it. So you'll find that if you can create safety around money with regards to rewiring your nervous system, I have a whole video. Once again, go watch it, because it's like a foundation for the next videos of the coming season, okay? Once you create safety around money, you'll find that even when you're paid, even when you get a raise, even when you get some extra amount of money you had not planned on, you will not be so quick to spend it. You'll be able to sit down and take a thorough look at this and ask yourself, do I really need to spend this money? And another thing, you will find that the moment you can calm your nerves around money, with regards to creating safety, The moment you can calm your nerves around money, you'll find that you do not have to struggle. You'll find that even when you get this money, your mind does not jump into asking, what if this money disappears? What if this money goes away? What if this money leaves my life? What if this money does not become enough? And you'll find that it's easier to prioritize its expenditure of this money. What I mean by this is, once you're calm, back again to the concept of nervous system. Now, I do not like to give people techniques. When I work with my clients, I'm very specific to tell them I do not give people techniques, because people are not formulas. If you'd like one-on-one coaching, reach out to the email on the description box or the number as well on the screen. When I'm working with my clients, I abstain from the concept of formulas, because formulas, first of all, spoon feed you. And second of all, they do not work, because what works for one person might not work for you. Our backgrounds are different and our ways of processing trauma and solutions are different. So what I need you to do with regards to calming your nervous system, personally, for me, I love journaling. For some of you, it might be meditating. For some of you, it might be visualization. Whatever grounding, I call them grounding practices. Whatever grounding practices you incorporate in your life, I need you to first of all go back to the past and look into every single circumstance under which you are trained to feel uneasy around money. Because if you can tap into those emotions, if you can recollect all those experiences and instances, and you sit down with them, process that feeling, process that emotion, process those circumstances, you will actually realize that you do not have a problem with money. You've just been trained to feel bad when it comes to money. You've been trained to feel shame around money. You've been trained to feel like you'll never be enough for money. And that is why you are constantly spend thrifting and impulse buying, because at the bottom of all that activities, you are actually feeling voids. VOID, you are actually feeling voids. So what I need you to do is to calm your nerves around money, because understand, like I said in the earlier part of the video, money is energy, money flows. So if you do not feel safe around money, if you do not create safety around money, that money will not flow to you. Water cannot flow, water cannot be held in a broken container. You are the vessel and money is the water. If you are broken in terms of disease, in terms of stress, in terms of anxiety, in terms of nervous system unease, you will not be able to contain this money. So it will come into you, it will pass through you, and it will leave. But it will not leave you with a service or an experience. It will leave you with a void, with questions, with cognitive dissonance, trying to understand, how did this money live my life? It is not your ancestors, it is your past that is haunting you. Okay? Another thing with regards to the solutions, you need to be very, very aware and very, very conscious and cognitive of every single time you find yourself thinking that you need something. What I mean by this is, when you're paid that salary, you have rent, you have food to buy. These are basic necessities. Even in the animal kingdom, we need shelter, we need food. And there's bills to pay with regards to water, gas, whatever. But those are necessary bills for everyday life. This is where we draw the line. I want to call it a priority. I'm going to call it a priority line. I want you to have a clear, definitive priority line on what is important, what you need, what you definitely cannot live without, that should be spent on using this money. After the definitive line, everything else is a want. I'm talking about shoes. I'm talking about wigs. For the men, I don't know what you love. I don't know what you love. Whatever it is, you know it, etc., etc. After the priority line has the PL, after the priority line has been crossed, everything else is a want. Because if you have shoes, if you have enough wigs, if you have enough watches, if you have enough jewelry, you have no business buying more, unless you had promised yourself, unless it was part of a vision board, or unless you're buying it as a reward, unless there's a substantial reason as to why you're making this purchase. If you for the life of you cannot clearly define why you are buying this thing, do not buy it. And before you tell me, I cannot control myself, you can. You are the master and the sailor of your ship. You decide where the tides will take you. You are not a servant. You are master and you are king. So you better be in control, or You better be in control. So what I mean by this, one thing that's going to help you not spend that money when you clearly realize you do not want to spend that money is I need you to allocate that money and keep it in a way. Now, for some of you, you keep it in savings account, but for some reason you always find it and you always find a way to get it out. I want you to have a clear, definitive line of how much money you'd like to have saved by the end of a stipulated time. So let's say if it's 100K, if something like 60K goes to bills and you have an extra 40K, instead of spending it on shoes, instead of spending it on a vacation you do not need, you can't go for vacations every month, man. Like, girl, boy, dude, man, whatever. Before you spend that money, that extra 40K, I want you to sit down and I want you to have a long-term goal, in the sense that you're not saving it to keep it away. You are saving it because you understand that it's going to be useful for later. And for some of you, look into investments, look into assets you can invest into. If you feel like you genuinely cannot keep this money in a bank account and not spend it, invest it into diverse assets that you know you'll not be able to fish it out immediately. That way, even when you want to spend it, it's going to have to give you a little bit of returns before you can get it out. See, I'm smart. I know my money, okay? Another thing that's going to help you with your impulse buying and spending, I want you to take time and to grieve. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Every single time they denied you resources, every single time they shamed you for asking for money, every single time they told you to choose between shoes and rent, they were training you to lack. They were training you to be a master of the scarcity mindset. And now you are going to have to grieve. You are going to have to grieve all the opportunities they denied you, all the things you could have bought, you could have done, all the happy moments your inner child could have had, all the places you could have visited but did not, because your parents did not have the money to. They did the best with what they could, but you can do better for yourself. I'm gonna let you go now so you can grab your tissues. Grab your tissues, baby. Mama's gonna hold you. You know? So that is one thing I need you to do. I need you to intentionally grieve all the things that you missed out on when you were young. Because especially for the firstborns especially, but the others, but especially the firstborns, me being one myself, you find that growing up you deny yourself a lot. You denied yourself a lot. And now that you've come into this space where you have money and you can afford to buy things for yourself, you find that even as much as you're impulse buying and you're spend thrifting, you still feel bad. You still feel like you're doing something wrong. You're not doing something wrong. You're simply trying to fill the void inside you that was established as a child when you were denied resources. So I need you to grieve everything that you missed out on. Because when you impulse buy and you spend thrift, you're basically trying to buy. I'm gonna hold your hand again. When you're impulse buying and you spend thrifting, you're basically trying to buy back all the moments you missed out on because your parents did not have the money to give you those moments. When your friends were going on trips and you had to stay home. When your friends would get new shoes and you did not get anything. When your friends would go out and you had to stay home. When you impulse buy and you spend thrift, you are literally trying to buy back all the moments you felt like you had nothing. I am talking to you when I talk to myself. Oh my God. When you impulse buy, you are literally trying to buy back your past. You're literally trying to buy back your past. So you need to understand that you cannot buy back your past, but you can invest in your future. So before you overspend, remind yourself that it's okay you did not have those things. It's okay you did not go to those places. It's okay you were not that child who had everything they wanted. But now you have the means to get yourself whatever you need. But you should not take it as a signal to buy back the past. Focus on getting yourself to the next level. And another thing with impulse buying and overspending, I want you to focus on your money. Focus on your money mindset. Focus on your abundance mindset. Let me know in the video if you guys want to have a masterclass on money, wealth, abundance mindset. I can surely get that done for you. But all in all, I really do hope this video helped you, because it has definitely helped me uncover things. When I uncover things for you, I uncover things for myself. You are not a spendthrift. You're not an impulse buyer. You're simply trying to buy back your past because you lacked, because you grew up in poverty and scarcity. I really do hope this video has given you clarity. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything I've missed out, if there's anything you'd like me to address, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.